are we?
Where?
We are on our tour bus.
We're in Hamburg, New York.
Oh, I was going to say
Hamburg,
Hamburg, New York.
Hamburg.
For the Erie County Fair, which is probably the biggest county fair I've ever looked at. I mean, it looks like a major state fair.
Looks big.
And it might be their state.
We are so excited to be here today. We have a wonderful guest, Terrance Simien, coming up a little later.
We've actually done the podcast with Terrance. You know, usually we come on a half hour early and then, but it didn't work out that way. So we know how great of a podcast that you guys are going to be able to listen to or watch.
And this is unique and unto itself. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Usually we have to visit after the intro that we're doing.
Yeah.
So we might not even know how to visit with you right now. We might not know how to tell you about all the dates coming up. We might not know how to tell you, that I don't have the proper amount of sound effects. It might not happen.
I know that we're not playing at the Four Winds Casino when this night comes up because we're not allowed to.
That's right.
You remember your punishments. You know?
Well, that's how you learn your lessons, boys. And quite honestly, we did take the war hoops out of Indian Lake permanently.
You know, someone came up to me the other night and said, I miss the war hoops in Indian Lake.
You cannot please all
I go, well, continue missing them.
Yeah.
Because they're not coming back.
He must have been a cowboy.
Yeah.
But look, this is very exciting because, well, actually, it's not. It's actually a pain in the butt, and I'm going to tell you why. Personally, I don't like doing the podcast like this. I like it when we're Brady Bunched. Okay? It's less chaos, a little more controlled.
Well, but the only problem, if all three people are on the same apparatus, it's cool. But like when Susan, you're in New Orleans on a phone, and then we're here, and I'm here on a computer. I think this is much. I enjoy this.
I'm okay with this.
Honestly, I think this is really fun because we're together.
Maybe we've just discovered something. Oh, tell us.
We're in the middle of our tour. Actually, we're in August. This is the hellacious month.
Yes.
And we go to the 26th. So look for us on the Happy Together roster in
your town.
Coming to your town.
We are.
Yep.
What else?
Then the Washington State Fair is September 2nd. That's a Happy Together show. That really ends the tour. Then Paul, Bob, and Susan are going to hop in a rental car and tool around Dearborn, Michigan, and Ohio. I can't remember what city in Ohio.
Oh.
We're going to Ohio, too.
We're going to go.
Come on, let's think. All we have to do is think. Lorraine.
So we're going to Lorraine, Ohio. And we're going to be playing with the Bucks, I think, the Buckingham.
The Bucks.
Yes. And that's pretty cool. So really fine.
Really fine.
Really fine, bro. Mr. Sullivan.
You do a better head than...
Anyway,
I gotta be careful.
Anyway,
okay, what else?
The 19th, September 19th, really, you want to go to Holmdel, New Jersey. We're in Cousin Brucey's
PNC Center
Fall Festival concert at the PNC Center with Chubby Checker.
Yeah.
The only guy that finally came up with a dance we high school kids and junior high guys could dance to. We did the twist.
Yep. Didn't have to move our feet. All we had to do was move our arms and our butt.
Twist. That was easy right, money. Very stiff twist.
And we are playing the Minnesota State Fair just for you guys that might. And as you heard, Terrance is going to be at the fair with us. So if you guys enjoy what you hear from Terrance and want to hear his music, you can do that at the Minnesota State Fair along with the Happy Together. And Terrance and them are coming to the Happy Together show. So
this is one of the good things about us doing the interview first and the pre-show second is we are able to tell you this.
We already know that.
Yeah, and it was a fun interview with Terrance. Absolutely.
Now, after Cousin Brucey, we're going to hop a plane Saturday morning on the 20th and head to Barboursville, West Virginia for the Fall Festival there.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful.
Is it going to be good weather? Should I wear my autumnal colors?
I hope there's autumn weather.
I believe it will be autumn weather in West Virginia.
Oh, yeah. Festival.
And then, so now October 26th, we have the Malt Shop Cruise. So you people that are going to be on the Malt Shop Cruise, we'll see you there.
We'll see you there.
Then we come back there November 19th. We're in Warren, Ohio with Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. November Gary. Opening for our big guy, Gary.
We love Gary.
We love our Gary.
And boy, to be able to be on a bill with him, and it's just us two.
That makes it special.
Well, because there's going to be a lot of Cowsill music and a lot of Gary Puckett music instead of these 3 and 4 songs. Cool.
Like Dad took only us out for ice cream.
Yeah.
Then topping off 2024, December 6th at the Cutting Room in New York for our semi-annual now. Year.
Right.
And then Paul, Susan, and I dart to St. Charles for a one-off Illinois for the show, Christmas show. Right after that, on December 8th. And then we're done for the year.
Yeah.
Be that.
Now, we're not going to take you through 2025 yet. There's a lot going on, though.
Yeah.
We got
listening to them talk about it.
It does. So, still no reality show. We're still working on it. We're working on getting our numbers up. So we're all
also working on talking to our people out here to let us come out here to do a reality TV thing because anyway.
If you haven't checked it out, you have got to check out this radio show, guys. Okay, it's every Sunday, 12 noon and 10 p.m. The Cowsill Chronicles, 97.9 The River. Download the app and you're in. Because it's based on the podcast, which is a library of our genre of artists speaking in their own words about their careers.
But playing their music, too.
Yeah, and playing their music.
Well, Mike Kurtner, who's our DJ on the radio show, he's our guy. He's been he's not doing literally deep cuts, but he's taken some of the songs that we all know, but that just weren't, on the top 10 or top 40 on the radio to hear all the time. And so Mike's really got this aptitude of picking the great songs for all of our shows.
And you hear the clips coming out from the artists of the week.
Artists of the
Super excited.
That's it. We'll talk about 2025 next episode, maybe, so we can focus on that. We got a lot going on there starting in March. March is a huge month.
Yes.
And other than that, back to the happy together. Here we go. To be happy together. We're going to look
happy together.
Float on the bus.
We can't be loving nobody but you for all my life.
Baby, we're going to turn it on.
Hello, podcasters and ease.
Hello, everybody. We are starting off our episode this week with our guest,
Mr. Terrance Simien.
Yo, what's happening? Susan, Bob, and Paul, my friends.
Terrance, it's great to see you, and thanks for coming on. We got a lot of questions. You're a very interesting guy to us, and just what you've been able to get going,
and being a dear friend to me and Russ, it just makes it better.
Cool.
And now, Terrance comes from another walk of life musically for us.
Correct.
I'm learning all about Zydeco.
Yeah.
This is new to me. And the music, and that's a music genre, I think.
That is.
Yeah.
And Terrance is in the thick of it. He's in the middle of it.
Hip us to Zydeco and Creole tea, okay? Because, our listeners are pop, classic 60s, 800-year-old folks, just like us. And they might not know about Zydeco and Creole. So you want to kind of give us an idea?
Yes, indeed. You came to the right person, Susan.
I know that. Yeah. And then I'm going to get personal with you, but set it up with this for right now.
You got it. Zydeco music is the music of the Creole people of South Louisiana. The Creole people, my people, who've been in South Louisiana for over 300 years. Now, the Creoles are the Black and multiracial French-speaking people of South Louisiana. Now, my family, my last name is Simien, and my family is one of the oldest Creole families to settle in this area. My first relative, George Simien, came from France, and he and Marie, who was a provost, she was a free person of color who was once a slave. They had 3 sons, and out of those 3 sons came my whole family, the Simiens. In the U.S. And George came to Louisiana in 1756, okay? Now, explain what a Creole is, my DNA tells it all. I'm part French, African, Spanish, Native American, German, and Irish, And all this culture came together in Louisiana in a special way where we started doing things different. You know what I'm saying? Our own way, being influenced by all these different cultures, the food, the music, you know, it's all influenced by all these cultures that came together the way they came together here in Louisiana. And Zydeco music is the music of the Creole people. Yeah. And the lead
Good job,
instruments, you
team.
have lead instruments in Zydeco. You have accordion and you have the rub board, which in French we call the frottoir. Two.
You do not want to get that frottoir mixed up with another French word that sounds like it. Is that correct?
That's right.
Thank you.
That's right. That's right.
So Terrance, so back in the 80s, you're realizing, you and Cynthia perhaps are realizing that your genre of music does not have the support of any bands. And, I think it seemed to me in my reading that you freaked out and went, oh my God, we can't let this happen. We need to keep going and build this type of music back up. So our youth, the Creole youth can understand and what's traditional music for them. How is that going? How is you taking that first step, saying, okay, guys, we got to do something here. We got to save our music. And how is it now in 2024? Have you got a renaissance of it?
Totally, Paul, man, let me tell you, it's exactly how we wanted to see it happen, you know.
Awesome.
And I wasn't alone. You know, there was a lot of even the older guys. And when I started my band in 81, I was one of two teenage Zydeco bands in the world. I was a teenager. I was 16. And the rest of the guys were like 20 years older than us, you know. And so it was at a low point, you know. And now you have more you have more young guys than us old folk.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
So, Terrance, at the time that you're getting involved in that music, how can you avoid and push off what's going on in the normal mainstream pop music genres, the top 100, the commercial radio? How are you sticking true to your Zydeco with all of that going on around you?
Well, Bob, I tell you, I still loved all the popular music, but I I just found myself fit in that traditional style of music. You know, the dancing and the music was all something that I really connected with as a teenager because it was fun. You know, when I went out to dances, well, we had these little, you know, we'd call them record hops, which y'all probably know that heard that before. But we had these little record hops, man, where there was a DJ playing the popular music, and man, I just stand up the whole night and listen and watch and loved it. But at the Zydeco dances, I was dancing. I was having a good time, you know, and nobody, I didn't feel like I was being judged by anybody. It just felt so good to be able to, you know, have that comfort in coming out. You know what I'm saying? And
No,
being
Terrance,
an adult.
it's interesting because so you say you're a teenager, you're a average American teenager is what you are.
Yeah.
However, you had something inside of you musically speaking to an older soul of your culture. And it must have been. And so Bob's question to me, so let me ask you this, like in school, hanging out, you know, social life, are you like, what the hell's wrong with you, Simien? Well, you know, because guys, back in the day, they stopped any Cajun language being spoken on schoolyards. You were not allowed to have your culture at some point.
Oh.
So it's kind of you're already pushing it by coming out as a teenager and going, the hell are y'all? This is what I do. How was it socially for you?
Well, you know, I would go to school and I'd tell my friends there was this dance hall called Slim's Waikiki in Opelousas, where Russ is from. And
Yeah, you're
you
right.
know, I would say, guys, I'm playing this dance at the dance hall. Come see me. And they said, oh no, we're not going there. That's for old people. And some of those same guys now, they out there at every Zydeco dance trying to dance,
Yeah, you're
man, you
right.
know, hurting themselves dancing. And it's
That's
like, you know,
awesome.
I just connected. It was the love of the music and the love of the stories that was told to me about the musicians of long ago, like stories about Clifton Chenier and Amédée Hardway. I mean, the older generation would tell stories. It was amazing. I mean, you could visualize what they were saying, and they just made the musicians sound like, like like high priests or something like that. They were like
Gotcha.
so revered and so special, man. And it's just, all that came together for me. And I got a sense of pride in the history and the culture as a kid. I said, yeah, this is us. And I realized that we were different than, let's say, the people in Texas and Mississippi, our neighboring states. And it's just a pride in that, and a loving for
Sure.
the music and a love for the dancing, the whole environment the music brought.
Yeah. Are you feeling a lot better nowadays about that music? You feel it's kind of rooted, and you can leave this world and know that your music will continue?
Without a doubt,
Oh,
Paul.
good.
It's like, what I like about the young musicians now, that they take an ownership of the music. They saying this is ours, and we're gonna shape it the way we want to shape it, and we're gonna keep it relevant for this time. Because Clifton Chenier, when you listen to what he did back in the 40s, late 40s, early 50s, I mean, compared to what Amédée Hardway did in the 20s, it was a radical change. He
Absolutely.
added blues, jazz, and early rock and roll into the
And
music,
pop, swamp
and
pop.
and brought it up to date with what was happening, and at that time, and a lot of the young musicians are naturally doing that, and some of them are getting, catching some
Some
slack
of
for
them
that,
are making it. I mean,
Yeah, and
look,
and and that's the thing, you got to keep it relevant. You got to keep it alive with the youth. Otherwise, it's
yes.
going to die. And
Yeah.
I
But
encourage the,
Terrence,
yes,
don't you feel like locally, I mean, what with Louis Michaud and taking doing what he does. And even, I don't know, are you familiar with Sweet Crude from NOLA?
no,
They're a young band, and they take pop music, but they do Cajun French lyrics. Okay, they
yeah,
write it. They write a
yeah,
combo of pop and Cajun, and but they're in their 20s.
yeah. And you see, Cajun is a different genre than Zydeco, and people
Well,
don't know that.
share
Now,
that,
in the
please. Share
Zydeco
that.
community, in the Creole community, is a predominantly Black audience in the country. And
Listening to
what these young artists are doing, they're fusing hip hop and rap and other styles within the style. And like I said, I'm an old man, so I don't feel that like they feel it. But
Paul.
I have the highest respect for what they're doing, because they're taking ownership of the music and they're making it relevant for this time, for the Creole people, the Creole audience, before any other audience, from the source of the music. You got people that love our music and play it, who's not from the source, which is cool, but
Right.
the people from the source have to be the ones who's dictating what this music is and what it's gonna be. And
Copy that.
that
Copy
once
that.
the kids started doing that, that's when we started seeing a resurgence where
Right.
the music, more young people got involved, and more young, we saw life beyond our life for this music.
T, can you clarify the difference between Cajun music and Zydeco as best you
Okay,
can?
well, you have Cajun people, or a different group of people, and then the Creoles. The Creoles
Right.
were in
And
Louisiana. Creoles were in Louisiana before the Cajuns, okay?
okay.
They were the ones who taught the Cajuns how to live when they came from Canada in this area, which the
That's
Creoles with the Native American help, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
What
yeah, yeah.
learned from the Native
exactly.
Americans, and we
So
have Native American ancestry in us, in our DNA. And so we created the gumbo, we created the jambalaya, we created the Zydeco, okay? It was and the Cajuns, you know what I'm saying, kind of adopted the culture we created.
and is that why many including myself when I first moved to Louisiana 31 years ago, considered Zydeco music, Cajun music, and Creole and Cajuns all one big same thing, which they are, of course, not.
Yeah, yeah.
And much in the same way that your generationals came down, settled, the Cajuns did the same from Acadiana. And Russ, ironically, Russ Broussard, for you listeners, you know he's the Cowsills drummer, but Terrance Simien was connected with Russ Broussard when in the 80s, in the early days of his career. And Russ is Cajun. And
Yeah.
I had to really work my way through understanding why he's not like you and you're not like him, but you're all playing the same thing that I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So
And you know, you
it's
have two communities that grew up together in the same area. Of course, you had a lot of people, you know, don't understand that segregation thing. That was some strict stuff at one time where that was you weren't allowed to have a white friend or a black friend. You know, it was that bad.
you experienced that personally
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
time. Okay.
I experienced it, but more so on my during my daddy's generation, it was more severe. It was like when I experienced it, you couldn't lose your life for something that you didn't even know you were doing wrong. But during my daddy's generation, you if you did something wrong, that wouldn't be considered wrong anywhere else. It could be a death sentence, and nobody
Wow.
could do anything about it. So, you know, that's the ugly part of our history, which I never like to talk about, but I don't want to pretend like it never happened because it did.
And
And you know, to kind of clarify things to people that never had to deal with that, you know, it's you know, just to make them understand that how two separate cultures can exist and be different, you know,
right,
and exist in a close, you know,
right.
confinement or however you want to say it, like the Zydeco, like the Creole and the Cajuns were, you know, and you know that was a lot of, you know, I mean, if you look at Louisiana's history, it's a lot of different things that happened when the French were in charge, when the Spanish
Yes,
was in charge, when the English was in charge. I mean, we constantly had to maneuver our way of existing because of the rules changing, you know?
got
And
that, got
and it's,
that.
it's very complicated, but a lot of that comes through, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The strength of the music in the
Always
black
got
community in Louisiana. It's you feel there's something more than just the music. You feel that it had to be so strong to make you forget about all the things you had to deal with, you know,
for sure.
just being a live human being on the face of the earth with your skin color being something different. You know, it all of that plays into what it is, you know. And like I said, the ugly part of our history, I don't never like to talk about that. It's not something that even my family would like to talk about. But
Right.
you know, it's things that happen that people, you know, need to know and understand.
I think you did well, Terrence. You did good.
Yeah.
Paulie's got something.
So, how loose is Zydeco? So, you've got these young kids, okay, and now they're all coming up with a Zydeco. But I imagine somewhere along the way they want to expand, and is that happening? Has it become more than, let's say, three instruments just because these kids are evolving?
Yeah, it's definitely happening. You know, when I started playing this music in 81, there was no harmonies in the music. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And Paul Simon, I went in the studio with Paul Simon in 85 when he came to do a song, a Zydeco song for Graceland. I was one of the musicians one of the bands that he had three bands. He had my band, Rockin' Doopsie Senior, and Buckwheat in the studio. And he wanted to record Clifton, but Clifton was sick and in the hospital. So we did about a 12-hour session with Paul Simon, and he figured out, we wasn't gonna make the record, the Graceland record. So he said he wanted to do something for us, and I sung this song, "You Used to Call Me," where he put like 4-part harmonies in the background, and just took it somewhere else, man, And
Oh,
from
yeah.
then on, I made it, I started doing harmony, you know what I'm saying, with my music. That kind of like spread in the music, you know what I'm saying? From
Yeah.
from stuff we did and what Paul Simon did. And the music, our music, Zydeco, the earliest form is a style called the juré, which was done just clapping your hands, stomping your feet, and using your voice. There's recordings from the 1920s by Alan and John Lomax for the Library of Congress. And when you hear that music, it's just vocal. It's just vocal and clapping
Wow.
hands and stomping of the feet.
Wow.
So it's like, the voice was the first instrument in our music to begin with, and I just, kind of wanted to bring that back, and
Yeah.
Very cool.
just the evolution of the music is so important. If you go from the juré to Amédée Audouin, Amédée was the first to record with the accordion. The music sound totally different. When you hear Amédée and Clifton Chenier, the music sound totally different. When you hear Clifton Chenier, it's still elements of the juré in it all. I mean, the root is still there, but the new leaves bring it in a different direction, and it's like, man, it's supposed to change. If it's not changing, it's dying. And a lot
Right
of
on.
people, want to hear it at a certain time period, want to heard Zydeco in a certain time period, say it should be this, or it should be that, or it should be what it is, and it should
Oh,
be,
yeah.
it should be what the youth uh, uh, of the Creole community, where they bringing it, where they hearing it, where they seeing it.
That's how it keeps going.
That's how
Yeah.
It's the only way. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Terrance, what's interesting though, and although Paul didn't use you guys exactly, but when you listen, because I've listened to your Zydeco music, and then Graceland was one of my favorite albums in the world. And honestly, although he didn't use you specifically, the whole vibe and the whole feel that he got on that album seemed like it came from your genre. Crazy.
Probably from your recording,
Yeah.
even. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrangle this because I would like to. There's 2 topics I want to make sure we cover, which is your and Cynthia's work with the kids, and the getting this music out to the world on a educational level. But I want to talk to you about the many amazing people you've played with. And then Russ instructed me to ask you to tell us, Robert Plant being one of the amazing people you played with, he said to ask about what happened after the Robert Plant tour or show.
Well, it was Robert Palmer.
Oh, Palmer, sorry.
Yeah, it was Robert Palmer. And man, Russ was there for the hardest weekend ever in my career. We played in Charlotte, North Carolina. Then we flew the next day to Seattle, got right off the stage and performed. Then we flew back to DC to open up for Robert Palmer, got right off the stage and performed. Then we got in the van and drove from DC to San Diego. And the van was driving. I mean, when you let off the gas, the van would shut off. So that all happened consecutively in 5-6 days. It was like the weekend from you know where. And that was one time when I really felt like, saying this is too much, this is too hard, there's got to be an easier way,
You said it was quite memorable.
I didn't. But man, I mean, we had a lot of things to deal with on that trip. But Russ was amazing. I love Russ. Russ is the most positive.
How did you find Russ Broussard to play with you?
Russ Broussard, my boy, your husband, Russ Broussard.
Yeah, our boy.
I love him.
How'd you find him? Where'd you find him?
He's the most, well, he was in Opelousas, and believe it or not, man, an ex-girlfriend of mine was friends with his mom. So
Okay.
she was a little older than me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Sid,
But
keep
anyway,
going, T.
she said, "Oh, I met one my friend Sydney's son. Um, it's said that one day he would love to play with you." And I'm like, wow, okay. So then I find out who Russ Broussard really was, a great drummer, incredible person, human being, just positive white light, smiling all the time, positive all the time in the most negative situations. And I got to know Russ. I needed a rubboard player. So he started off as my rubboard player. Then my drummer, we wanted to do some different stuff and he couldn't do it, like some second line and some reggae. My drummer was just straight ahead Zydeco cat. So Russ said, man, I can do that. So I got rid of that drum and got Russ to play drums. And the rest is history, man. You know, but yeah, man.
But like Russ used to, okay, you guys, Russ used to, when he'd play the frottoir,
Yeah.
he would go from stage, jump up onto bars, leap from floor to bar, and dance and go all down the bar, right? Is this true?
Oh yeah, yeah. He
Yeah.
would. I mean, 1 minute Russ is on stage, the next minute he's out in the audience. He's on the bar. He's outside. He's inside. Russ is everywhere.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Also, Los Lobos, how was that?
That was awesome. That was awesome. I mean, meeting Los Lobos, they were the nicest guys in the world. They were like big brothers, because at the time it was 87 when we met them. And we were, well, 86, 87. Yeah, 86 when we first opened up for them. And in 87, we opened up some shows and we were with them when La Bamba was #1 on the charts. So it was an awesome audience to play for, a lot of them were Mexican Americans, and they took to our music just like they did the traditional conjunto and all of that,
Right
and
on.
it was a beautiful connection, and just I'm still friends with those guys today. They just the best. They're the best.
Yeah, I'm going to move them to.
I have a question in line with Susan, and we'll get into what you do with the kids in terms of getting the word out on your genre and your Zydeco and all that. I want everyone to know that Terrance is a Grammy-winning artist, not Grammy-nominated or any of that. Now, as a two-step question on that. Now, at one point, Terrance understood and saw that there was not a category in the Grammys for what he was doing, and he set out to be instrumental in creating one. Now, my first question is, how'd you do that? Because we got a category, legacy groups most ignored by the Grammy committee. We want to get that category. How did you implement? What did you go to the Grammys and say, hey, you're missing out here? How did that work?
Terrance, tell them who went to the Grammys.
I'm married to the person who made that happen. My wife Cynthia. We started out together, but she just took charge and said, "This either happen or we'll die trying to make it happen." And she was relentless. She got in touch with the local. Well, first she got in touch with the LA chapter. Then they told us our area was governed under the Memphis chapter. So she got in touch with the ED of the Memphis chapter, and she just started doing things like meeting the requirements for to have a category. At the time, you had to have at least 25 CDs a year being produced, and we had almost 40 at that time between Zydeco and Cajun music. And so she just kept, sending proposals and working with people within the organization. It was like a campaign. It was like a 7-year campaign.
Yeah, you're right.
Finally, she got it. She got it. And for me to win a Grammy, I had to We had to create a category.
I know. That's what we are impressed.
And
Because what's more impressive, creating the category is impressive. But now you're going to win it.
Yeah.
It's when there's nobody else. I mean, nobody even knew there wasn't one. Nobody could get there.
And at the time, Terrance, was Cynthia's was she using Simien?
Yeah, we were married.
Oh, yeah, they knew who she was.
Okay.
Everybody knows Sim.
We've been married 34 years.
Oh.
And she started the campaign, I think, in 2000. Yeah, 99 and 2000. So it took us seven years, and then finally we got the category. And really, for me, I take more, satisfaction and gratitude, knowing that we were able to do this, and everybody, when we started, then winning the Grammy, because when we started this, it was like, oh, we'll help you. That's what they were saying at the Memphis and LA chapters, we'll help you, but this is probably never going to happen. And and that's how we felt, like it probably never was going to happen, but we wasn't going to stop trying. And
good for you.
It happened, and now, people are still winning Grammys and still being nominated 20, 24 years later, from Louisiana, because of what we did. We got our community, we educated our community on the whole process, and we've made them, become, signed a lot of them to be voting members and participate and be part of the process. So we have a lot of people voting from Louisiana because of our push.
Sometimes twice.
Well, we wasn't going.
Hey, Terrance,
we might get in trouble.
Yeah. Hey, Terrance. So on that, so Cynthia gets it to happen, and it's going to happen on this year. How many bands were up for nomination in the Zydeco?
Okay. Well, the first year, I think it was like 7.
Oh,
there was like 7 bands, because there was a couple of ties. I remember it was my band, the Lost Bayou Ramblers, Gino Delafosse, the Hub City All-Stars. Let's see, who else? There was a band from California, Lisa Haley, and there was a couple of others.
One more.
Yeah, at least 1 or 2 more. But
Gotcha.
yeah, cool. That and it was I had gotten to the point where I said, man, if it happens, it happens. If it don't happen, it's cool. And when they call our name, I was like, yeah, we ran to the stage, right, and it was crazy.
I've heard he takes that Grammy with him everywhere he goes.
Hey, I would.
Every show he plays, he holds it up.
I got 2, so I take one on the road to collect fingerprints, and I leave one at home to collect dust. But
adorable.
I like
all right.
But just one last thing on this, with all the work that you and Cynthia did on that, it must have been really, really exciting for these bands that thought they were in a world all on their own, were able now to go international. And, they had to feel just, wow, we are really something. We're something. Now. We're not nothing anymore. We're now something.
Yeah, Paul, it really it changed the game for a lot of our musicians in Zydeco and Cajun music, Just the nomination is something that, you can
absolutely
use to help promote yourself. And we had more people nominated in that 20-year period than, like by far. I mean, we before we only had we had 3 winners. We had Queen Ida, Rockin' Sydney, and Clifton Chenier to win in a category called Best Ethnic Folk Album of the Year. That category went left after 4 years. And then on the Cajun side, there was Steve Riley and his band who got nominated. And Beau Soleil got nominated. And on the Zydeco side, it was Buckwheat had got nominated in blues, and Beausoleil and had won one in I think traditional folk. So it was like that, man. Just very few in like, and we hadn't had a nomination in over 10 years until we got the new category.
Oh, very good. Okay, I'd heard there was a lull. Okay, you, for me, and
Yeah.
then we're going to talk about your and Cynthia's work with the kids. But for me, how did you get in Princess and the Frog, and why just this morning do I know this?
Well, you know the business, Susan, better than I'll ever know it. A lot of it is luck. All right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Amen,
well,
amen, brother.
what you call it, Randy Newman was listening to two songs that I had, and we get a call out of the blue from the head of the music department at Disney, Tom. And Tom called and asked if I'd come to um, LA and work with Randy Newman on a song for a Disney film, just out the blue, because he was listening. I think Dr. John might have had something to do with it. I don't know
Okay.
if it's so, but I think he might have steered me in that direction. But what the Tom told me was that he was listening to two of my songs and was writing a song and wanted me to come to LA and work with him. And so
That is
that was it. Next thing you know, we in the movie, the songs in the movie, and then we get Cynthia.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And then Cynthia like heard they were doing work on the ride, so she contacted, the people, contacted Tom again, and Tom put us in touch with the guy who was doing the ride, and we got on the ride. So
That's so cool, T.
yeah, man, yeah, it is, and
Yeah, life is good.
we playing these songs now for adults, and at our regular show, that one song, and it's like a hit song.
Oh
Everybody
wow.
everybody in their 20s, and maybe a
Isn't
little
that
older.
cool?
That's very cool. They taking their kids to see the movie, and their kids know the song. So it's
Yeah,
it's
man.
it's a
All
cool
right,
thing.
brothers. Speaking of the kids,
Yeah.
give us how you guys have taken this and gone much elsewhere.
Well, for the past 20 years, I've been doing this, and the
It's our
history of
first freeze.
Zydeco. Yeah.
Okay.
And Taj Mahal was the one who suggested that I do a kids CD, and he was going to produce it. And he got real busy, with that's when he released Senor Blues. So I ended up doing it myself. And we had a record label that was interested, but then they weren't interested. So we ended up putting it out ourselves. And we just started, getting work with performing arts centers because it's an educational program, and it's not just Louisiana history, not just music history, it's American history. And
Mhm.
so we've been able to, do the performance at performing arts centers and schools and colleges around the country, and we've also done some stuff overseas. And yeah, man.
It's a beautiful way to parlay making a living, doing what we do. And it's like you have managed the whole way from what I can see. You're a musician, you're an artist. That's just a given, but you have managed to share, T.
And to take care
Yeah.
of what was put in your hands.
Yeah.
As a youngster,
Yeah.
and now you're able to spread the whole
Good job,
deal
T.
out and about.
The Simien.
Yeah.
Terrance, where
Well,
can people find you, find your story, find all of this? I know you're online. We all are. Where do we
yeah.
send people?
Send people to our website. Yeah, Terrance
To the
Simien.
Terrance Simien website. Do you have a Facebook also?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
it does.
Yeah, I got Facebook.
Yeah, yeah,
Cynthia, do I have
yeah,
Facebook?
yeah. And
Give me that
man,
shit.
it's just the whole working with kids is just the most wonderful thing. You can see the joy and the hope in their eyes, and when they hear the music, it just really, 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 really they feeling it. And you know, I'm just trying to do my part like all the guys that came before me, like Clifton Chenier, John Delafosse, all these guys, man, if they wouldn't have did what they did, then I wouldn't be here. And
Right.
it's easier for me now because it's the music is at a point where, we can make a living at it, and not
Amen.
And what you
all
guys
is
did, you
good.
guys paid it forward. You guys paid it
We
forward,
paying it, we
right?
paying it forward. And man,
Yes.
we're gonna be together at the Minnesota State Fair on the 26th. We playing
That's where
before
we are.
y'all, and we gonna come see. I'm coming to
You're
see the
kidding
Happy
me.
Together. Yeah,
Oh,
I can't wait to see the Happy Together. When I seen y'all in
I'll
New
get
York,
you.
man, when I
Who's coming?
seen y'all sound, go ahead.
Who will be coming?
Was that
You and Danny?
me and Danny? Hell yeah, me,
Yeah.
Danny, and Stan. Yeah, we're gonna come see y'all. And
Awesome.
we
What do you got?
playing right before y'all at another stage, but I'm gonna make it down. And I just want to say, when I heard y'all in New York at APAP, y'all band sounded so amazing. I mean, it brought me to tears because all that music I grew up listening to with my mom, and I'm a big fan of 60s music. I love 60s music and 70s music more than any other style of music. And I
That is
love the
crazy.
Cowsills. I love y'all.
Terrance, thank you. Because that was my last question for you. As you were a kid, and of course you had your culture and you had your roots, but and you just kind of answered it, but so what was turning you on other than, your cultural thing, like everything that was out there? What were you tripping to?
Man, I was listening to Motown. I was
Okay.
listening to Paul Simon and Garfunkel. I was listening to the Cowsills. I was listening to the Beatles. I was listening to the Commodores. I was listening to funk.
Nice.
I loved it all. You know what I'm saying? And I was playing trumpet in a school band, so I was into jazz and classical and stuff like that. But when it comes to the music I like the best, is the stuff y'all do from that
Right on.
era. Those
Well,
voices, those harmonies,
Awesome.
it just brings you to a place that's so filled with love and peace, man. And
yeah,
it's
you're
beautiful.
right.
Yeah.
It
Beautiful.
worked. That music worked.
Cool.
Well, Terrance, what stage are you playing on the 26th of August at that fair? What time?
We ended like at 5:30, I think. I'm gonna get y'all. I'm gonna send y'all the information that we
We're
doing
gonna see Terrance
because
and Dan.
because we there for 2 days. We there for the day before, and then the second day is when y'all play. So yeah, we're
Wow.
gonna
Well,
come
dude,
see
if I'm
y'all.
in early, I'll let you know. I'll look at my bed
Man,
when I hang
we
out.
gotta get
We
together.
can
Please,
have a little
please,
lunch.
let's do
All
All
something.
right,
right,
kids.
everybody.
This little party.
We want to thank Terrance Simien. We're going to thank Cynthia, even though
hell
she's
yeah.
not there. We know she's got something to do with all of it.
Oh, she's the boss. She's the boss.
Russ said to tell you he loves you.
Tell Russ I send my love, and he's my brother forever.
I know that. And we'll see you in a few weeks, couple of weeks.
On the 26th.
Yes, indeed.
Right on. All right,
Y'all
team.
All
be
right,
safe
everybody.
on that road. And keep
We love you. We are.
putting smiles on people's faces. Healing.
Right on.
Terrance.
Yo, know it.
All right.
Terrance,
Thank
we
you.
love you.